Well, good evening. Welcome to the first GRPS Board of Education meeting for 2019. Happy New Year to all. Thank you for coming out. I ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Grant, will you take the roll, please?
Yes. Dr. Baker.
Here.
Ms. Davis.
Here.
Dr. Flores.
Present.
Ms. Grant here. Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Reverend Matias.
Here.
Mr. Ross.
Here.
Ms. Shockey.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Can we get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Support.
I would like to call for nominations for the office of temporary chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Raynard Ross.
I guess I
Do you have a
accept.
second?
Second.
All right. And with that, we need to swear in our new officer, our new board members though first. Am I correct?
Yes.
And I guess our newly elected and our re-elected folks, maybe we can gather here in front. I'll stand in front and do our official swearing in. If anyone interested in photos of our new folks here, please feel free to come down behind me. Well, fine people, if you could raise your right hand, please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of the Grand Rapids Public Schools.
and I will faithfully discharge the role of
Yeah. I think we got it, yeah. I gave that one too long, right? And that's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
Grand Rapids, Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
Welcome aboard. My apologies for the tongue twister there. Well, now we do need to move forward with election of officers for 2019. And I would first like to appoint a temporary secretary, and that would be John Matias. Sir, if you wouldn't mind taking the secretary duties at this point. And then we'll also like to make a nomination for our president for this coming year. And I would personally like to nominate Ms. Christian Grant for that role. If I can have a second to that.
Second.
Well, there being no opposition to that, welcome aboard to the president of GRPS, Ms. Christian Grant. You can take this seat. Reverend Matias, if you mind taking that one, I will swap place with you, sir.
Thank you.
I know, I'm just.
It's a fine job as temporary president.
Yes, thank you.
Right here.
My legacy continues.
So there was a temporary nomination, and now nominations made by Mr. Raw for Ms. Christian Christian Grant for president. And then there was a nomination made by Ms. Grant for Ms. Jen Schottky for vice president. And then there was,
Are you going to do it as a slate? This is a slate.
We can do it
Yeah.
as a
That's the
slate.
slate, yeah.
Yes.
and then nomination by Ms. Jen Schottky for Reverend John Matias for secretary. And then, I'm sorry, Tony Baker, Dr. Tony Baker for treasurer? Is that
Not-
correct?
Nominated
I don't-
Raynard Ross for
I
treasurer.
don't see that here.
They're not putting me in charge of the money. so.
Sorry, that was not,
That's cool.
oh, I'm sorry. Nomination by Dr. Baker for Mr. Ross for treasurer. I'm sorry.
thank
My apologies. Second, please.
Second of those,
Would you like to take the vote?
Okay, Dr. Baker,
yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias, yes. Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Shotke,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
President Grant.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations. President Grant.
Thank you. Welcome to our new members. We are happy to have you. We do not have any celebrations for tonight, and our student representatives are also excused for tonight. Do we have any public comment for board agenda items?
I do not see any unless someone hands them in. There are none.
Okay, superintendent's report?
Madam President, I would like to ask John Himholt to come forward.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Weatherall Neal. The superintendent asked me to come before you tonight to read a resolution that is part of School Board Member Recognition Month. In many ways, it's very fitting because of what just occurred. We have our new board members. Congratulations to Kim and our new officers. And we just really want to take a moment to read this resolution on behalf of Superintendent Weatherall Neal. The resolution, School Board Member Recognition Month, January 2019. Whereas the governor of the state of Michigan has declared the observance of January 2019 as School Board Member Recognition Month. Whereas Grand Rapids Public School Board members represent a tremendous resource as local decision makers who consistently respond to the needs of their community. And whereas the Grand Rapids Public School Board members represent the voice of this community in serving the interests of our school children and preparing them for the future. Whereas the Grand Rapids Public School Board members continually strive for improvements and progress in public education with an understanding of the need for commitment to change and growth. And whereas the men and women elected by the people as members of the Grand Rapids Public School Board deserve recognition for the countless hours of public service to public education in this community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Teresa Weatherall Neal, Superintendent of the Grand Rapids Public Schools, do hereby declare January 2019 as School Board Member Recognition Month in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. I commend the members of the Grand Rapids Public School Board for their dedicated service to the children of this community and urge all citizens to join me in demonstrating gratitude to these outstanding individuals. Be it further resolved that the student representatives to the board also be recognized for their dedication and service to the board in providing input on a wide variety of student issues in the district. Be it further resolved that this resolution is recorded in the proceedings of the board and a copy be placed on file. From Teresa Weatherall Neal, Superintendent, Grand Rapids Public Schools.
All right, tonight we have 3 action items on the agenda. The first is to approve the 2019 regular board meeting schedule. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
All right, please take the vote.
You know, one note about that, I apologize. There was an ask by staff that we make an adjustment to that calendar. I need to double check. The May meeting conflicted with something here.
Graduation.
Thank you. Yes, important events. Yeah, the May 20th. I think it was asked that we suspend that meeting due to
Yes,
graduation
I
week.
think the calendar that's in the updated
Packet.
agenda does show that that meeting has been canceled.
Okay, great. Excuse me.
Madam President, would you mind making the announcement about speaking into, I'll do it.
Yes, we have a translator tonight, so if we can all make sure to speak into the mic and speak clearly. That will help them translate better for us. Thank you.
I was told to do that before.
Okay, so we have a second. Let's please take the vote.
Okay, Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Bergen Matias, yes. Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Shotke,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
President Grant,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next, we have a resolution to hire MASB to support the superintendent search process. Do I have a motion to approve?
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to suggest that we not hire anybody and that we just do a search here in the community, an internal search, put up the a job opening like we would ordinarily, and allow any of our internal candidates who are interested to apply. And I think there was an overwhelming, I read through every one of these comments and so on, and I think there was an overwhelming desire on the part of many of the people who spoke to us and gave their input that they really don't see us necessarily having to go out and do a nationwide search or spend a lot of money. As a matter of fact, somebody even said, why spend the money? Why don't we just spend the money on the kids? So I will not support this.
So I would like to clarify that MASB is coming alongside of the board to help us do the search, but we have not decided whether it would be, how the search will be carried out. So in the packet, in their proposal, it states that in our January 14th meeting, we will talk about the internal, external portion of that. But we do need,
But we are not paying anything up. There's no cost
Well,
associated.
here, according, yeah, so at the December retreat, I was asked to communicate with MASB around them offering us a proposal. There were, we did identify during the retreat that there would, even if we knew who we wanted to hire right now and just did it tonight, we'd still need consultation. So we will need public interviewing process, vetting, all sorts of activities that we'd have to do. I would disagree somewhat with your characterization that there was a variety of perspectives offered
Yes,
both
sure, I agree.
amongst the board and then the community of how we should conduct the search. And so what I asked MASB to do is to give us a price range for 3 different options. One would be the interviewing and vetting of a single candidate. 2 would be a more localized search that would focus on internal candidates and perhaps more other local people. And the final one would be a full-fledged national search. That seemed to represent the 3 different streams. I didn't want to let them know that we had that we had decided exactly how that would occur, that the new board members hadn't been seated yet, and that we would like to discuss it with them so they could go through us the pros and cons of each of those processes. The plan is, so they presented us a proposal with 3 prices. And we would be, and then the resolution we're voting on tonight says that we agree to spend up to $9,000, which would be the total cost for, if we went with a full search. So we're voting to spend anywhere from basically $2,500 to $9,000, depending on the type
So
of search.
somebody who wants to only spend 25 minimum, how, I should vote no then?
No, you should, well, as a board, we're going to participate. What we're doing is choosing to have MASB work with us as we go through the process. Next Monday, they will work with us to as a board, so that there won't be, I guess there would be we would come to some consensus next week, but there won't necessarily be a vote on, I guess we would vote which of the 3 options we'd like, but we would come to a consensus of which level of search that we'd like to do. So what we're choosing tonight is to ask MASB to partner with us in holding our hands through whatever the process is, whether it's a limited search or a full search. They would be our partners to make sure that we followed the procedures, make sure that we had all of the materials from the state as to what the appropriate vetting would be, the communication with the candidate to let them know how pensions work and how,
So
processes
basically,
work.
next Monday, then we are going to decide which of those three. So tonight, basically, we're just saying that, yes, we're going to talk to the Michigan Association of School Boards, and we will decide next Monday how we will proceed.
Right. Right, and so what we're voting on tonight is
Right.
is that we would be contracting, again, because of the timing of this, we want to get started as soon as our new board members join us. This allows us, so now we have a firm in place, we're not doing an RFP for a firm, we already know who our firm is going to be. Next, we can just get down to work. And then their job will be to help us understand why we should or should not do each of these three
Okay,
types of
okay.
searches. They are also reading those materials that were produced by the EISD, so they'll have a sense of what the community has asked for, and they'll be able to help us to understand. And there's pros and cons of each of these, and
I know,
so
I know.
we need to fully consider each of these, and I feel really comfortable with them as a source, because again, this is unlike most of what we do. We need to work with an outside entity rather than the internal staff.
I was
Everything else we
just
do.
concerned that this resolution was saying that for sure we were going to spend money, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Ready to spend
The
money?
packet talks about the range of activities that
Okay,
they would do,
that's fine.
from communicating to the public, to recruiting candidates, interviewing persons, arranging the public presentations. Even once the candidate is selected, there's still work that needs to be done, and they would do that work for us.
I'd like to comment if I could. I think that it's of utmost importance that we're transparent in the process, that we also, while we may have our individual biases of people we know, I think it's important that we put all those things aside and that we ensure the ethical and unbiased procedure in selecting individuals, and that we should check ourselves in with respect to any discussions about local candidates that we may prefer. And so I'd like to at least make sure that we echo that in this process.
I believe 100% in the integrity of the process and doing things right. I absolutely believe in that. But I also have, experience as an educator where we have brought in other people from the outside when we had
Right.
people sitting here that were really
Okay, we have
good.
we have a vote on the table. Would we like to take a vote, please, Reverend Matias?
Okay, so this is to approve the hire of MASB for the
Yes.
superintendent search process.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes,
Dr. Matias, yes. Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Shotke,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
President Grant.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Lastly, we have a resolution to approve an offer to purchase real estate from Habitat of Humanity, Kent County. Superintendent Neal, the board would like to receive additional information on this item.
Thank you. I would ask Larry Oberst to come down, Madam President. And Ken Klon-Parents is coming down as well.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Good evening, President Grant. Congratulations. And welcome, Mrs. Williams and Ms. Davis, and welcome the rest of the board. We are nearing the end of this process of readying the Roosevelt Plaza project we've been involved with now for 3 years, 4 years, 3.5 years. We've been keeping the board and abreast what's been going on over the last number of months. And it's been a process involving a number of other partners, as you're aware. And so we're at the point now where we need your approval to actually acquire the land that is part of the whole project. Within this Roosevelt project, the land is currently owned by Habitat. They have been acquiring, Habitat has, various parcels of this land over the last number of years. And in the end, they're going to be 5 major landowners, us being the largest. Habitat will retain some land to build some houses, and Mercy Health, which currently has a clinic there, will expand their clinic, so they will acquire some additional land, expand their clinic. The Cook Art Center, same thing, and then Dwelling Place has 2 separate parcels to build some affordable housing. So the piece of property we are going to acquire is just over 74,000 square feet. It encompasses actually 6 different tax parcels. And so some of the legal issues surrounding both the land acquisition as well as the structure of this Roosevelt Plaza project took a lot of legal ramifications. In addition to the land, everything associated with the land acquisition and surveys and environmental testing, all those kinds of things. There was a master deed that we had to work with our other major partners to get the master deed appropriately conform to legal issues, if you will. And there also was, in addition to the master deed, there was just some other related legal issues that just took some time. Condo association set up for this property. There were some zoning changes that had to be made that happened a year and a half ago to rezone this whole project as planned redevelopment district from, I think it was a low-density residential at the time. So this all took time, and in the end, I think we're just about there. At least we're close enough to be able to bring this acquisition, this document, to the board today for your approval. The purchase price of the property that we need is $964,141. An appraisal was done on the property by Soper and Associates, a well-known, reputable appraisal company. We've actually used them, I believe, Ken, over the years in appraisals of our property. And that appraisal came out for the property. We're going to acquire it about $12.98 a square foot. You multiply that by the 74,000 and change a square feet we are acquiring, get to the purchase price of $965,000. So what was included in your packet are 2 things. First, the actual resolution that we are asking the board to approve tonight, and then the actual purchase agreement. I'm going to call it in a draft form. There are a few more things that need to be done. It should not change significantly from what you have before you and what is included in the resolution, if you had a chance to review that. And it's very similar language to when we sell property. We've sold some parcels over the last year or so, that it gives both Ken and I some flexibility in if there need to be some changes made in the final document before we sign it, we have that flexibility, presuming there's no significant changes in the terms of the document you have in front of you. So that is kind of the background of why we're here tonight, where we're asking you to approve the acquisition of that land. And to do that, we're in a pretty tight deadline here. We want to open this new high school, the Southwest Community High School, in the August of 2020. To do that, we need to acquire the land and then to get the bids out on the construction.
We're intending to bid later this month and then bring that back to the February Finance Committee.
Yeah, but we could not go out for the bidding process till we actually make sure we actually acquire the land. So that's why we're coming to you tonight to be able to get that done, and so we can let the bids out here over the next couple of weeks. Questions you might have?
First of all, I'm very excited about this possibility. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a time where we actually built a brand new school, it's certainly a high school in a neighborhood. So I do think it's important that we discuss what the relationship has been with that community, as we would typically. I know that we've been doing this all along, but so community impact and also the community engagement process of how we got to this point. I hear a lot of, I'm connected to several of the organizations that are participating as partners with Habitat. So I have some sense of the community engagement process, but I think it's important that we discuss where that has come. I know that the community has asked a lot of us, and we've worked with them to provide what they've asked for. Or at least to
Yeah, I'm
try
going to ask John. John's been more intimately involved in that whole process. You can speak to that.
Sure, absolutely. So as was shared, we are pushing upwards of 4 years of engagement around this Plaza Roosevelt development. It has been a dynamic partnership. You have 8 different entities that have come together around this 5.5 acres. And if you go through the history and the process prior to November 2015, when we passed the bond, Habitat had been working with the other partners and had been doing their own neighborhood engagement. And what they had heard from the residents was they wanted more affordable housing, they wanted increased access to health care and a new pharmacy, and they wanted access to high quality public education. There was other things, but those 3 emerged. And so when we passed the bond, we approached Habitat because they were the lead kind of developer at the time, lead organizer. And they said, yes, we'd love to, but we want to re-engage the neighborhood. Let's see what the residents say. And so through Williams and Works, there was an area-specific plan that was done for Granville Avenue corridor. There was also the site plan that they worked on with our architects to finalize the Plaza Roosevelt. There was community engagement process along in that. And then just this summer, as we were getting closer to a final kind of memorandum of understanding, we heard feedback from our friends in the neighborhood partners committee that they'd like to see GRPS specifically engage at a higher level to really help to raise awareness about what the school is, what is dual immersion, and to really gather feedback. And it was a very healthy process. We received overwhelming feedback. The surveys came back 85% or more in support of the proposed expansion. We received some good feedback about how do we ensure more kids in the neighborhood could access their neighborhood school and learn. Many of the families didn't realize that there's an attendance area boundary, that if they live in that boundary and they're in K and 1, they're basically guaranteed a slot there. And so what was really healthy about it is not only did we work to build trust and relationship with the neighbors after they had said, hey, GRPS, you haven't done enough. We went back, we rolled up our sleeves, and I would say the result of that is our relationship is stronger and better than ever, and our understanding of what we need to do going forward with how to communicate, how to market, how to truly authentically engage the neighborhood was a very positive outcome of this process. And I think if we brought the group here, they would say just that. In fact, I even heard that they kind of referenced that we're kind of the model now, and they're looking to the other partners to follow some of what we did. And really, all we did is listen. We said if you feel that way, neighbors, tell us how we can better engage with you and the residents in the neighborhood. And it was a very positive experience. And I just have to say, I mean, I'm a little biased, but this is a dynamic, very complicated, but just amazing collaboration of groups where things could have come off the rails on this multiple times. In fact, it teetered on the edge. But we all stuck together, and this is a partnership that is really going to do right by kids, right by the residents in that neighborhood, and really help to re-engage with the neighborhood and to build those relationships. So we're really excited to see it getting to this point. It's been many years, many meetings leading up to it. And this isn't it. This is just the next milestone that we're hitting right now, and would allow us to really start to bring this to fruition and hopefully have the school really open and ready by August 2020.
I have a couple questions. One is, if it's going to be opened up to the community that can choose to enroll its kids, what's the capacity of Southwest K through 8th to handle the community saying, I want my kid to go there?
Mm-hmm. I know the capacity of the middle high.
The capacity of the new building is 500 students. And if you go back to the transformation plan, all the buildings that are designated small high schools have a building capacity of 500. It doesn't matter where the grade level begins, it's a 500 student building. We did go back and look at both the new building and the existing south building to find the ideal break point to maximize neighborhood access and student access to both buildings together as a total program. And the split is between 6th and 7th grade, gives us the best benefit to maximize the existing elementary building along with the new building.
So it could be K6, 7 through 12, something like that?
Pre-K 6 at the
yeah.
existing site,
Okay.
7, 12 at the new site. And part of what we did with this is looked at the grade configurations, because what we've seen with the enrollment trends is we could have upwards of 4 or 5 sections at the kindergarten, the first grade, but then by middle elementary, they go down to 4, and then by we get to middle school, we're down to 2 sections. And so as we looked at how to best meet the needs of the neighborhood and to be able to serve potentially more individuals, we looked at the attendance area boundary and how we would actually expand that to be the entire neighborhood, not just half the neighborhood. And then we would also reconfigure it so you had essentially 3 sections per grade all the way from pre-K up to 12.
Because there's also potentially in this plan is housing that's going to be developed. And so we would think that families are going to move in there and all of those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and the reality is, and this is something we've really shared extensively with the neighborhood and with other stakeholders, is this is not going to be able to serve all of the individuals who are going to be interested. It just, the reality is the capacity between the 2 buildings is just simply not big enough. At the same point, we also want to be sensitive to, we have many other schools in and around that area, so we are committed to working with Cesar Chavez. We heard from the parents there that when their kids graduate 5th grade, some of them are hoping that they may be able to go over to the Southwest Middle High School, but the students, as part of the admissions criteria, have to pass a test to show they're bilingual enough to handle the rigors of the school. And so we're working at what are some supports and things we can provide to students and families in that realm, so that we're really being sensitive to all of those concerns, the questions, and then how do we help to try to position all students to have access to this high quality school choice. The reality is, much with like our centers of innovation and theme schools, we have more applicants than there are seats to fill. And I think that's a great problem to have. That is just the reality of the constraints within our facilities in the budget.
Okay, are we ready to take the
Just
vote?
got one more question. So I want to be clear. The ways that we're changing that school's relationship with the neighborhood is expanding the neighborhood boundary that allows students to automatically go there if they're in that
Right now, the
geography.
criteria is if you're in K and 1 and
Okay.
you're in the boundary, you're automatically in, essentially.
Okay.
I mean, assuming that there's space forever, because you, in theory, could have more neighborhood
Right.
applicants than there are seats. But
And there's also another neighborhood school that they would be in that boundary.
That's
of.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And so we're also looking to provide additional, and we haven't defined exactly what that is, but we heard families that said, my child is bilingual at Chavez and they're getting that education, particularly in the lower elementary. What more could be done to support them? So when they get to 5th grade, they could take that test and potentially gain admissions into the middle school at Southwest.
And that sounds like the second way that
Yeah.
you're changing the way Southwest currently is to allow students to come in.
That's
that
correct.
Typically had not been. Okay.
Thank you very much for that information. All right, do I have a motion to approve this resolution to purchase real estate from Habitat of Humanity, Kent County?
So move.
Support.
Reverend Matias?
Okay, Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias, yes. Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Sharkey,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
President Grant.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Reverend Matias?
Okay. Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Ms. Davis,
Yes.
Dr. Flores,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Reverend Matias, yes. Mr. Ross,
Yes.
Ms. Sharkey,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have 2 discussion items for tonight. The first is around committee appointments in the committee meeting schedule for 2019. I'm asking that each of you let me know your top 3 preferences for committees. The committees that we have to choose from are Academic Achievement Committee, Policy, Finance, City Liaison, and we are also bringing back the Legislative Committee this year. So please let me know your top 3 preferences, and I will be sure to get back with you. Once chairs for those committees are assigned, then they will reach out to each of you about a schedule for meetings and agendas this year.
When did you say by when?
If I could have your request by the end of the week, that would be wonderful.
And what about the current committee? Should we meet in January? Do we need to meet in January, especially finance?
Yes, we do. So if I can have your request as soon as possible, end of the week at the latest, then we can assign those. And then I would ask that committee chairs reach out immediately to set that schedule.
And the Finance Committee meeting is on the agenda.
Yes,
that-
finance
it was
is
asked that we
remaining the
keep that
same.
one, yeah.
Yes.
In January.
And the next discussion item is about the January 14th special board meeting and work session. We will meet at 4:30 in room 101. The agenda will include conversation around the superintendent search with MASB, as well as a few other items. A full agenda will be shared soon. Okay, do we have public comment for non-agenda items? We do.
Yes, we do. Courtney Harps, is that correct? Okay. You'll have 3 minutes in which to share your thoughts with the board.
My thoughts are, you guys need to get these kids off the city bus. They cause a lot of problems. They do not get up for the elderly. And they cause fights down at Central Station to where the cops are there putting them in cuffs because they're causing too many problems for everybody. And it's not right for the public to be dealing with this. And I have health issues and I can't even sit down. And I'm not supposed to be standing for a long period of time because I have a blood clot in my leg and I cannot be standing like that for a half an hour to get downtown. While these kids are sitting there lollygagging, sitting on each other's laps when they're not supposed to be on the bus. And it's wrong. If you guys can afford to do this, this, and this, you guys can afford to put them on regular school buses or make the rapid, drop them off in their areas to where they live. It's just not fair to the public, and especially to the elderly.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. Next,
There are
we
no
have,
further ones.
thank you. Next, we have superintendent's comments.
No comment.
Now for board member comments, let's start with Ms. Lewis.
All right, wonderful. I just want to welcome our newest members of the school board, Ms. Davis, Ms. Williams. I'm looking forward to working with you and looking forward to working with the ones who are reelected and then the ones of us who didn't have to face that this time around. So congratulations to you and welcome aboard.
Mr. Ross.
I just welcome aboard to Kim and Kim. Other than that, no, nothing much. Thank you.
Reverend Matias.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Now you have the task of helping hire a new superintendent as well. It's very exciting to see just the talent that's represented around this table and the commitment to our schools and certainly our public education, the entities involved in that. Very excited for our Hispanic community that's going to get a new high school and an opportunity to really continue to develop things like dual enrollment and the other cultural schools that we need to continue to do and develop. So it's very exciting.
Dr. Baker.
I'm excited to start a new term again, and I expect this will be the last time I start a new term. So anyway, but big work ahead of us. I'm really happy that we have Kim and Kim join us. I think that your absence on the board has been noted, and now that you're here, we have the final pieces in place to hit new heights. So anyway, really happy to work together. This is a great group of 9 people that will be, making big decisions in the next couple months. So appreciate working with you all.
Ms. Shockey?
Yes, I echo that. Welcome. I know you both to be individuals of integrity. I know you to be hard workers, and I know you to be very inquisitive and curious, and I know that that is going to serve us so well, especially in this very big year ahead. So welcome to the team. We're really glad you're here, and Happy New Year.
Mrs. Williams?
I just want to thank everyone for the warm welcome and the support and taking my calls and addressing my questions outside of these initial meetings. I appreciate the support. I look forward to working with you all.
Dr. Flores?
Well, certainly a big thanks to the voters of Grand Rapids that decided to reelect me and bring me back, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy to be in such gracious company. Some new change, I think, is on the way for 2019, and congratulations to the great new leadership that we have in you, Christian. So looking forward to a continuing service to this community and to the school system, and I think that great things are on the horizon.
And Ms. Davis?
Yes, I would just like to say congratulations to all the officers and thank you everyone on the board for such a warm welcome and for help with any questions I had throughout the process. And I'm very much looking forward to serving our students and our community with all of you. Thank you.
All right. I think it's been said plenty, but welcome. I'm very excited to work with you all, and we have a big year ahead of us, but I think we have a great team to get the work done. Meeting adjourned.